If you told me a few years ago that I would be running a permanent jewelry business, I would have laughed. Honestly, I never imagined myself doing permanent jewelry. But life has a very funny way of putting you exactly where you need to be. Honestly, I was just looking for a new skill to acquire, and I just won an insurance case for an accident I had a few years ago. I had extra cash and I just wanted to invest it into a skill that I knew would generate me a little bit more income. I started looking for ideas on Instagram, as one usually does. That's when I stumbled across this girl on social media that honestly inspired me. To be honest, I wish I would have saved that post. I can't find it, but I'll continue looking for it, and if I do, I'll link it down below. I saw her do 7K in 2 days, in under 14 hours or something like that. But she went to this event and she did permanent jewelry for 2 days straight. I want to say 6 to 8 hours each day. In total, she ended up making 7K. I was astonished and instantly sold on the idea that this might be my next skill to acquire. From there, that pushed me to dig in deeper into this business model that I knew nothing about. After seeing her post, I spent the next 2 to 3 days investigating and doing my research and truly determining if this was a business model that I wanted to pursue moving forward. I remember telling my partner, I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And he was so for it. Like, normally he's very skeptical about things and he's like, no, I don't know, but he was like, you know what? I think you should give it a shot. I think it's a great idea. I was so surprised, to be honest, that he was all for it. He himself even wanted to learn the skill as well. And he was like, when you learn it, teach me. It's so funny how the world works, because during that time, he actually had just finished taking a welding class for his job. Permanent jewelry and welding kind of go hand on hand. And after I got the confirmation and the reassurance that I needed, I continued doing some research. And by this time frame, it had been like about a week. When I do things, I do them pretty quick. I think about it. If I think it's a good idea, then I move forward. I started watching some YouTube videos. I continued reading articles. I just scattered the whole internet to see what I can find. I found a lot of OG people who have been in the welding industry for quite some time and took a lot of tips and tricks from them. And of course, I continue scrolling Instagram, looking at what other people were doing, how they were running their business. Through this, I discovered so many other people in the industry and saw all the different ways that permanent jewelry can be done and marketed. Finally decided, like, okay, this is what I want to continue with. I was like, okay, I need to take a course. And first I was going to buy an online course. I don't know, something about an online course wasn't I'm more of a hands-on person, so I wanted somebody to be there with me, like physically teach me. But then I stumbled upon this girl on Instagram. Her name is Rye. I'll tag her here. She was one of the only ones that was really promoting like trainings, and she was located in OC. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go take a training with her. I messaged her. I asked her a couple questions. I think at that time, my course was anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400. I can't really remember the price. I went to go take my training in OC, and she taught me the basics, the bare necessities. She gave me very minimal things that, kind of got my foot in the door. I arrived last night to LA. My mama picked me up from the airport, and I spent the night on her couch. It was so cold, but I was cuddling with my little sister's dog, so it was kind of nice. Anyways, I've been teasing you guys on both my Instagram and my Lash Page Instagram about what I'm up to. Today is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. It is 9:44 a.m. and I came to get trained. I'm getting a permanent jewelry training by Rye, and I'll leave her information down below. I don't know how I even decided that I wanted to do this, to be honest. A couple weeks ago, I was like, I want to learn something else. Like, this upcoming year, I want to add some new skills to my belt. Something that, I don't know, I've done so many other courses, I've learned so many other things, but what's next, And I started questioning, like, what should I do? So a friend of mine was actually saying, what about being a nail artist? And I considered it for like a brief second, but then I'm like, lashing and nails, that's already a lot. So I was like, no. Instead, I think I'm going to do something different. And I genuinely love jewelry. I really love how it makes me feel. So I was like, something in jewelry or something with like, I don't know, something different. And I was scrolling on social media and a permanent jewelry training just popped up on my page. I have not mentioned nothing about jewelry around my phone or anything because I know your phones hear you. But in my head, like, I was already thinking it. So in my head, I think that my phone read my mind. I didn't even think about it or hesitated. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I want to do this like tomorrow. So this was about 2 weeks ago or so. And I looked at my schedule. I saw my availability. I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, when is your next class? Are you coming to the Bay anytime soon? And she said her next class was December 13th. And I was like, you know what? I have nothing to do that day. I had no clients on that day. I mean, I have stuff to do, but it just worked out for me to come today. So last night I landed in LA, slept at my mom's, borrowed my sister's car, and then drove down to OC. And I'm here now.
So wish me luck. I can't wait to share with you my experience with Rye and everything I learned.
After taking my course, I came back home and the first thing I did was teach my partner what I had just learned. If you didn't know, teaching somebody else what you learn ensures that you actually learned it correctly. So I was so proud of myself because I was able to teach him. He understood it that same night, and together we both just practiced. We did a little permanent jewelry practicing little party. We sat in front of the TV and just hung out, and it went really, really well. So right after taking my course, I taught my boyfriend. From there, I started seeing what other supplies and things I was going to need. For example, in my course, a welding machine was not included, so I had to go and purchase one. I purchased a bunch of things that at that time I thought I needed, but in reality, there were certain things that I didn't really need. It is what it is, but I wish I would have known that sooner. The learning process. To be honest, I don't personally think learning permanent jewelry is that difficult. However, I come from a background of very meticulous work. So I'm a lash artist, and I've been a lash artist for over 6+ years. If you don't know about lashing, I mean, I'm sure you do because you're watching my channel, but you know, it's very meticulous, very detailed. So with permanent jewelry is literally the same thing. It's very, very detailed, very meticulous. However, the cool part is that permanent jewelry takes like 15 to 30 minutes for you to do versus lash extensions take like 2 to 3 hours, right? So the perks about permanent jewelry is that you can do more people, make more money in a shorter amount of time than you can with lash extensions. Another reason that I got into permanent jewelry was because of that. You know, like you can see 2-3 clients in 1 hour versus only seeing one client in 1 hour. Make sense? To sum it up, the learning curve, if you're used to meticulous work, is not that difficult. But if you're not used to meticulous work, it might be a little challenging just because permanent jewelry is very, very tiny. You need to use a microscope unless you have really, really good vision like I do. Then, you know, you won't struggle that much. That's just kind of like my 2 cents within the learning curve. You know, some of the challenges that I believe I faced was understanding, sizing, and measuring your clients. Thankfully, the girl that I took my course with, she trained me so well because I haven't experienced many people saying like, hey, my bracelet fell off, or like, hey, this happened, or whatever. If anything, what happens is people accidentally, like, you know, they have pets, they have kids, and they kind of get yanked. I see more of that versus my welding or my work has been, you know, falling apart, etc. So I've been very, very fortunate that my girl really taught me well. I want to say it took me about 1 month to get, you know, trained, get my supplies, get inventory, and create like an identity for my permanent jewelry business. So I went with the name Space Gold PJ. I created like a little booking site for it, an Instagram, everything. And honestly, I just started telling people, all my clients that I do lash extensions for, I was just telling them like, hey, I do permanent jewelry. Hey, I do permanent jewelry. Every single person that laid in my bed that I saw or met, I told, hey, I do permanent jewelry. And I, of course, wore some myself because a lot of people are like, what is permanent jewelry, right? So I explain it to them and I show them like, you know, this is permanent jewelry. Like it's welded metal onto your body that doesn't use a clasp and cannot be removed unless you cut it off. You know, I show them, look, like this or like this. And I have also one that does have a clasp, so I can like kind of show them like this doesn't have a clasp versus this does. And then that's kind of how I started selling it. I started just honestly talking a lot about it. I told my mom, I told my friends, I told my uncles, my cousins, everybody. I even started telling people like, hey, if you have an event coming up, can I just go and like set up? And I started doing events like that. One of my clients, she works for this major company and she started inviting me to her corporate events. And that's kind of how I like started my business and pushed it out. I want to say the first day that I started permanent jewelry, my boyfriend came when I used to be in the back of the nail salon. If you're an OG, you know what I'm talking about. And he came that day. It was the first day that I fully like had a permanent jewelry setup and people were walking in to get zapped. We made $800. I was shocked. I was like, wait, what? So imagine if you can make $800 in just 4 hours. Like that was amazing. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started, and I just keep pushing it out. To be honest, the whole year of 2024, I was just promoting it by word of mouth and here and there some social media posts. I haven't done paid ads on it and I haven't promoted it the way I would like to. That is something that I want to do more in the year of 2025. So I know it has a lot of potential. I know it has a lot of ROI, high ROI. I'm in a position right now where I've noticed that there's not a lot of artists that do this in my area. So I have a lot of advantage. So I know I need to take advantage of that and just promote myself more, because in reality, if you really think about it, any service-based business, it's all about promoting and putting yourself out there. So if you're doing that, you're going to get a lot of return on your investment. For those of you asking how much did I invest into this, I want to say around 4 to 5K. That's how much I started with. Have I seen my investment back? Not yet. I have not seen it yet. However, the cool part about this business model is that none of your products can expire. So your products will last you for years to come, of course, if you take good care of them. I also attended a permanent jewelry expo in Las Vegas last year, and it was so much fun. I met so many cool people. I met people that have permanent jewelry studios where they have multiple artists and they're like functioning on their own. Like there's this girl, tag her over here. She has 2 locations and it's just permanent jewelry. I'm like surprised because you can literally make a living just off of permanent jewelry. I have it more as an added on service to my current salon. So it's a little bit more, it's an add-on. It's not only permanent jewelry. I'm sure if I like work more on it, promote it more and put it more out there, more and more people would know about it and come, So yeah, if you get a chance to go to the permanent jewelry expo this upcoming year, highly recommended. It is a little bit on the pricey side, but so worth it. You learn a lot. You get to meet other people in the industry because this industry is not saturated yet, but it is very lonely because there is not a lot of people to help you. But hopefully I can be a soundboard. And if you have any other questions or like suggestions for me to make videos about permanent jewelry, please leave them in the comment section down below. I love making videos. I know I've been MIA, but I've just been so focused on my lash business and growing it, and I can't wait to share more about that. And that's how I got into permanent jewelry. I hope this answered your question of what intrigued me to get into permanent jewelry. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Tatiana Garcia. It was a pleasure talking to you today. Mwah.